This is Real Republican News, and I'm your host, Jason Mariner. As you can see behind me is the United States Capitol building appearing as it should. Serene and an icon of American power and world dominance. This is a historic landmark that was decimated yesterday. But first we need to talk about somebody very important, and that's Ashli Babbitt. Ashli Babbitt's name needs to be said and repeated and prayed for. Her friends and family need to be prayed for, because yesterday at the young age of 35, she was killed because of the nonsense that ensued at the United States Capitol. Yesterday, what was going on when that building was stormed is our senators and congressmen and women were in their chambers, and they were discussing on whether or not to certify the results brought forth by the Electoral College. Constitutional law was being carried out. The Constitution was being followed in that building that day. And you know what happened? A bunch of angry leftists and a bunch of extreme righters attacked the building. They destroyed parts of a historic landmark. They destroyed pieces of American iconography that simply can't be replaced. It can be rebuilt, but it'll never be the same. And people will never forget it either. We've been calling for this silent majority to remain silent no more and speak out. All that did was cause us to take a few steps backwards, because now people are even more ashamed to say that they're a Republican. Because the name Republican is unfortunately being brought into the conversation here. See how crazy the Republicans are? You knew the media would do that the second we acted out. They've been doing it on the left the whole time, and it's been ignored by the fake news. But the second the right did it, we knew there would be problems. I experienced this at a rally myself a few months ago at Smartmatic. There were people, patriots, passionate about our country and our Constitution, but they were surrounding one young man, and I called them off. I said, everybody needs to get away from this guy. This is not right. And I stood between them and him. He was a young kid holding a Biden flag. And there was a couple hundred people across the street holding Trump signs. That's not how we do things. We don't stoop to their level. Now, one thing that maybe needs to be discussed is the concept and ideals behind secession. It's a very controversial topic. You don't hear it discussed in the media because media personalities are afraid to risk their careers by saying it. It's so controversial. I don't care about my media career. I care about my country, which is why I'm doing this. So maybe what we need to do is start asking our leaders and presenting forth an argument, which is one thing we're allowed to do under the Constitution. Bring forth our argument and present it to our government and say, look, maybe if we can't coexist, maybe if this division has finally ran too deep and can't be repaired, maybe it does make sense for us to go our own ways, peacefully, without war and bloodshed. Without 35-year-old Air Force veterans, Ashli Babbitt, being killed senselessly. That did not need to happen. One life lost in an act like this on American soil is too many, and it's been happening for too long. But her name needs to be said. May God watch over the soul of Ashli Babbitt and her families. It's a very sad day for America. Anyone out there calling themselves a patriot who was involved in what happened yesterday, I've got news for you. You don't know anything about the Constitution, because what you did was you interrupted constitutional adherence. Patriots defend the Constitution. Patriots do not interrupt it. Now, this is a anecdotal statement that I'm making, but the first shot was fired way too soon. Way too soon. Those events needed to play out. Those Electoral College results needed to either be certified or decertified. And what happened was, after it got interrupted, we had a lot of our politicians that were ready to object and not certify pullback after the mess and chaos that they were forced to live through yesterday. What happened was, it was ruined for a lot of us real Republicans. Because real Republicans stand behind the Constitution. Real Republicans believe in the fact that if this country falls into a position where there's a trifecta of deep blue communist and socialist ideals being forced down our throats, that we have the constitutional responsibility to say something about it and rebel. Now, what our founding fathers did in the Declaration of Independence is they got together and they decided, we're not living like this anymore. And they wrote a document and they sent it to the king, and they told them that they were going to be departing and not adhering to British rule anymore, and a war ensued because the king did not agree. That's not what needs to happen now. What we need to do is formulate a plan, go to our leaders, and suggest peaceful secession. I'm not sure that this division that runs so deep in our country can be repaired without violence. So if it can't be repaired, maybe we should just part ways peacefully. Now, make no mistake about it, it is your constitutional right and duty as an American patriot to overthrow the government if it becomes abusive towards its people. That does seem to be what's happening. We have absolutely no support for this country falling into the hands of a trifecta of radical blue communist power, and we will not take it, but we will do things the right way. We will not interrupt constitutional law. There will not need to be the unnecessary loss of life. Things need to be done intelligently and the right way. That's the way of the Republican Party. So to those of you out there who think that Republicans are bad people because of what happened yesterday, we are not. We have ideals and values, and we follow the Constitution. We don't break the law. We have a sense of honor and duty to our countries. That's what you saw yesterday. It was just poorly timed and poorly thought out. Ashli Babbitt was killed yesterday because of poor thoughts and impulse. I don't want to see a second Ashli Babbitt die because of senseless violence and temper tantrums. So think about that next time you want to do things your way. There's the constitutional way to do things, and I encourage everyone to pick up a constitution, pick up a Bill of Rights, which is in the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence. Read them, familiarize yourself with them, and understand your responsibility as an American citizen. Until next time, I say, may God watch over the family and the soul of Ashli Babbitt and all of her friends and loved ones. May God watch over you and I, and may God watch over and keep safe the great republic that we call the United States of America. My name is Jason Mariner, and I'm your host here at Real Republican News. Please hit the like and share button. Be well, everyone.